Howdy folks, welcome back to another Out of Spec Renew video. Today I've got a very exciting upgrade for my 2015 Model S 70D. For those that haven't seen any videos on the channel for this car before, this is my personal daily driver, and it's got over 470,000 miles on it now. It has had a battery pack replacement at one point in its life, I think at about 250,000 miles. But today we're going to be upgrading to this 100 kilowatt hour pack. And yeah, should make for some serious enhancements in terms of usability for the car. And I'm pretty excited about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So like I mentioned there in the intro, this right here is a 100 kilowatt hour Model S battery pack. In fact, it's actually a later replacement battery pack, which I don't know if you'll be able to see it here very well, but there's our sticker. So as you can see, it's actually a January 2022 build. Yeah, I'll kind of explain the decoding on that once we get this thing all unwrapped. But essentially, this was a replacement pack at some point in a 100 kilowatt hour car, which at some point got wrecked, ended up at a dismantling yard, and then that's how I got a hold of it. So let's go ahead and get this thing unwrapped and take a little bit of a closer look at it, see what kind of condition we're really in here. All right, we'll go ahead and cut the plastic wrap off of this thing. Sweet, looks pretty clean. Let's see if I can grab the camera off the tripod here. So it looks like they did blend or kind of bend the shear plates. I don't know if they did that on purpose for packaging, but I'll go ahead and swap those out. I've got some fresh replacements for those. I didn't even expect it to come with any, so usually they get unbolted. And yeah, they've got it strapped down to the pallet fairly nicely, apart from a broken strap there, but the rest of them look intact. And the plastic sheet here on the top doesn't look like it has any tears in it, so that's good as well. And just to explain the decoding here, so the serial number is what you can use to decode these packs. So the T just stands for Tesla, 22 is the year it was built, so 2022, and then A is the month. So A would be January, B would be February, C would be March, etc. So January 2022 build, and I believe this was pulled out of a 2020 based on that, and I think that may have been what the listing said as well, but clearly this is a replacement pack. It wasn't the pack originally equipped in the car. Of course, in 2022, Tesla wasn't actually building cars with these packs in them anymore, because then you would have been into the Palladium time period, which is a totally different architecture, not even remotely the same as these older style packs. But yeah, so what we're gonna do here is I'll probably do a pressure test on it just to make sure everything's sealed up pretty well. And then we'll go ahead and get started with the process to pull the old pack out of my car. And we'll get this one swapped in. We'll do all of our pack replacement routines and stuff. And then it should be good to go. This is actually a pretty quick process to swap packs on these cars. And yeah, I don't expect it'll take me more than a couple of hours to get it all done. So let's go ahead and get going here. I guess one more thing, I do want to check the connectors here at the rear. They did put some tape over them, so that's nice. Keep the dirt out. So our data connectors appear to be in good shape. No bent pins or anything like that. And our rapid mate also, or our high voltage rapid mate, I should say, also appears to be good. We are going to need to swap out this orange ring around the edge because this is not compatible with the older car, but there is a ring that can be just bolted in place. It's just those 6 screws around the perimeter. That thing will unbolt, and then we can get the the earlier version, which is actually a little bit shorter in height. We'll get that one mounted on there. So yeah, maybe we'll go ahead and do that first thing, and I'll probably do a pressure test here real quick on the pack. I expect that it shouldn't have, I mean, the umbrella valves and stuff on this should be clean. It's only a 3-year-old pack, so I'm probably not going to go too crazy. I'll just do a pressure test and make sure that it actually holds pressure. and then we should be good to go from there. Alrighty, I got a satisfactory result on my pressure testing. I do have a detailed video that goes into the whole process for that. I just kind of did a real basic pressure test on this. I didn't pull the side rails off to spray soapy water on the umbrella valves or anything. I basically just did a leak down test. This is a pretty fresh pack, so I'm not too worried about the umbrella valves all that much. But yeah, so satisfactory result on that. And now we can go ahead and get started on actually removing the old pack out of my car here. Alrighty, as per usual, step number one is to disconnect our power to the car. So we're going to do our 12 volt first, just like so. And then our high voltage disconnect, which lives just right over here. And boom. We are fully disconnected now, and we can actually get to dropping the pack. So first things first here, we're going to go ahead and remove our bottom cover here at the rear of the car. I'm actually going to pull these clips out on the sides first, and we'll remove all the screws. Alrighty, that's all the fasteners out. We can pull this down, get that out of our way. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull the shear plates off here at the rear of the pack. And lastly, just a handful of T25s. Alrighty, that's everything at the rear of the pack here. Now we'll go ahead and deal with our little skid plate piece up top. And then we can take out all the center fasteners in the pack itself. Alright, up here at the front, we've got our sort of skid plate piece here. This basically protects the front edge of the battery from impacts. And that's pretty much it there. We've just got some fasteners to remove on the front edge of the pack itself right there. Let's see if I can grab the right socket for that. Alrighty, there's those out. And yeah, we'll have to remove our big subframe bolts up here on each corner. And then we've got all of our E-Torx fasteners kind of in the center section of the pack that we'll pull out as well here. Alrighty, that's all of our center bolts. So now we can go ahead and bring the car down onto the table, and we'll get all the bolts on both sides of the pack. And then we should be able to just lift the car up and away. And then we can wheel the old pack out, bring the new pack in, and just reverse the whole process. All right, time to bring the car down onto the table. Try and make sure we're reasonably flat, which it looks like we are. So now we can go ahead and get the bolts out of both sides here. All right, so that's all the fasteners removed from the pack. We should be able to just lift up. I'll start real slow, just little bits at a time, make sure we're not hanging up on anything. But that should literally be it. That's the beauty of these legacy Model S and X packs, is all of the coolant, the coolant connectors, as well as the high voltage and the low voltage connectors in the rear are all self-connecting and self-disconnecting. They call that the rapid mate system. And that's actually because these cars were originally designed with battery quick swapping in mind. Now that ended up not really being a thing that Tesla ended up pursuing, but the architecture left over from that idea remained with the pack construction on these cars all the way up until early 2021. So it's kind of cool, makes it easy to swap the packs out, and it makes them all more or less interchangeable, which is pretty cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and lift the car up. All right, there we go. Old pack is out. So we'll go ahead and wheel the table out here. We'll take the old pack off the table with the forklift, and then we'll get the new pack staged on the table, and then we'll just reverse this whole process to get the thing mounted back in there. There are a couple of things that we need to do first though. For one, I'm going to remove these shear plates. I have new ones that I'll install on there. The old ones that we pulled off of the car are actually not quite cross-compatible. They're back here. So these old shear plates actually have sort of a riv nut in them where the screw fastens in, and it actually goes through this edge on the battery, just like so. You can kind of make these work if you just drill the riv nut out, where you end up with just a hole through there. because on this battery you can see the holes on here are actually threaded and the shear plate goes on the bottom side rather than on the top side. So a little bit of a difference there. Rather than drilling my old ones out, I have a set of new ones, and I can keep these around in case a customer's car needs it or something. These are still perfectly serviceable. Or in the event that I end up selling this pack to a customer, I can always reuse these again on my car if I put the old pack or some other pack back into it. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get the packs interchanged onto the table so that we have this at a little bit nicer working height. We'll get those things pulled off, and we'll swap out our Rapid Mate ring there. Alrighty, here we've got our new Rapid Mate top ring. You can't really tell right now, but I'll show you when I get this one off. The newer style one here, I've actually got the wrong size bit. Let me get the correct bit on this thing and then we'll pull that off. All right, got the right bit. We'll just unscrew all of these. Bingo. Oh, I must have one that's not all the way out. There we go. Save the fasteners out of it, but there you go. So as you can see, the black one is shorter than the orange one. So in order for this to fit, we have to swap it around. I'll actually have to take the gasket off of this one. I didn't realize these don't actually come with a gasket. It's just a silicone ring, so that should be fine to reuse. I'll transfer it to the new one, and boom, there we go. So gasket is transferred to the new one, and this is unidirectional. Doesn't matter which way it goes, but I'll just have it with part numbers facing up. That seems like the logical method there. We'll get all these screwed in to a fairly light torque value. We'll say a 6 probably seems about right for these. Alrighty, awesome. That thing's swapped out. Alright, so now we're at the point where we can go ahead and start getting the new battery mounted in the car. Now, one of the trickiest parts of this whole operation is just getting everything lined up to go back in. So I've got a couple of alignment rods here. I find that usually 2 is enough, and I just put them at opposing corners. So I'll stick one right here, and then I'll stick one back here on this corner, and we'll slowly lower the pack into place. Make sure our holes line up on the corners with the dowels. That'll help kind of guide the pack into position. And then the other thing that we'll have to do is we'll have to make sure that our two, both our high voltage and our low voltage rapid mates actually line up and go into place. Usually what I do is I use a borescope camera and actually just poke it up in here and make sure they're lined up. There are a couple of pins on here, which I can show you actually, that would kind of do the whole alignment for that. So we've got one hole there, and then of course we have another hole there. And we've got corresponding pins on both of the rapid mates to fit with those. Normally, another thing that I would do if I'm doing a pack swap on an older car like this is I would at least inspect and probably even replace both the seals on the rapid mate here. But if you've watched any recent videos, you know that I already had the pack out of my car not too long ago just to do a pressure test on it, make sure everything was good. So yeah, it's already got fresh seals on it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're ready to start dropping this thing into place. So once I get to the point where the dowels are getting close to the level of the lid, I'm just going to go real slow. Make sure we're not going to run into the lid, particularly on that side, because I can't see it super well. And I can already tell we're not quite lined up. We've got to go a little bit forward. And on this side in particular, we have to shift it over towards the driver's side just a touch. So we'll go ahead and see if we can get this sort of shifted into place here a little bit. Okay. And let's see where we're at over here. So on this side, we've got to come also towards the driver's side here a little bit. And I think we're pretty dang close right there. Make sure we didn't affect our alignment over here. We might be just a touch too far back. So I'll try and give this just a tiny little shove forwards. Now we'll go ahead and bring it down just a little bit more. And are we hitting over here? Looks like we are. Just give that a little tug, and that is in. Sweet. All right, I'll go ahead and get the borescope, and we'll get ready to start checking to make sure our rapid mates are going to line up. Howdy. You're coming to me through the borescope camera, and we're going to take a look at how our rapid mates are lining up here. So this is our low voltage rapid mate, and you can see that pin right there. Try and position here a little bit better. Looks like we need to move the pack forward just a touch for that to line up properly. I can't really tell super well how we are side to side, but maybe if I can get a little bit different angle on it here, we'll take a look at the high voltage one and see if we can get a better idea from that one. Yeah, so we definitely need to move the pack forward. I think side to side we're pretty good though. So try and see if I can stick this in here someplace where you guys will actually be able to see what's going on, potentially. At least that's the idea here. Ooh, is that going to stay? It kind of does. It's not a super great view. It's hard to get the borescope to stay where I want it to. But we're going to try and shove the pack forward just a touch. Pull this back out of here and see how we're looking now. Are we actually hung up on that a little bit? We might be. I may have gone down just a touch too far. So we're actually pushing up on the high voltage rapid mate here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the car up just a skosh. And we'll see where that puts us. Yeah, we're still a bit off. And that's why it's important to make sure that everything lines up here. Because if I were to just go down and shove that thing in, we would probably break the pack side rapid mate or bend a pin or something crazy like that. So yeah, I'll keep working on this to try and get it positioned, and I'll bring you guys back once we get it into place. Alrighty, so we've got pretty good alignment here. Our pins are going in where they should be. Just took a little bit of finagling, wiggling the rapid mate itself around a little bit, as well as trying to shove the pack around just a touch as well. Looks like we're good on the low voltage side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the car down, say, I don't know, 1/2 inch maybe. And we'll make sure that everything still looks good. I don't hear crunching sounds or anything, so that's a good sign. Yep, it looks like we've got good engagement all the way in there. And on this side, it looks just as good. Can't see the pin super well, but well, you can kind of see it right there. So it's fully seated and nice and centered in there. So yeah, I guess we're pretty well lined up here. So we just got to bring the pack down the rest of the way and then start bolting it in. I think we are pretty much fully seated there. Now we can go ahead and start actually bolting this thing in. Alrighty, we're all bolted in on the sides, so now we can go ahead and bring the car up. Sweet. Now we can go ahead and get everything else bolted in, and then we'll be able to boot the car up. I'll want to run some routines, and of course we need to do the pack replacement routine, and then fingers crossed, we should be all good to go. Alrighty, we've pretty much got the pack fully bolted in. Before I go putting the rear cover and the shear plates and everything back on, I want to get the car started up, make sure we're going to be able to pair the pack properly and run a coolant purge routine and stuff. I don't know how much coolant this pack does or doesn't have in it, so we might have to put a fair amount of coolant in. So yeah, that's going to be kind of our next step, is get the car booted up and try and get our pack paired. And then after that, we can deal with the bottom cover and the shear plates and all that stuff. That's all just little things, not super important at this point. All right, let's get our high voltage and our 12 volt reconnected. And then we can go ahead and plug into the car with the computer. Fire up Toolbox. And get our pack paired with the car. I'm not going to bother tightening that down just yet. Actually, in fact, I'll probably put a charger on that so it doesn't go dead when we're running our routine, because it might take a little while. All right, I've got our power supply hooked up. Let's go ahead and hop in the car here. And look, it's already got the MCU booted up. Software update required. Schedule service. Unable to start, service required, blah, blah, blah. All right, we'll go ahead and plug our laptop in here. And we'll fire up Toolbox and run our pack replacement routine. I think that we may or may not be able to do it just in service mode from the car, but I'm going to do it from Toolbox instead here. Alrighty, we've got Toolbox here, booted up. We'll go ahead and connect to the car. And actually, I'll hop in here and activate the drive rails. And, well, at least that was my plan. I think I'll need to close the door and then open it again. We got to get the car into a state where I can activate the drive rails and unlock the gateway. I might have to disconnect the 12 volt momentarily to get the drive rails activated. That can be a little bit tricky on these when your software is incorrect. The car won't easily activate the drive rails, and it kind of has this little timeout period, so you have to do it pretty quickly after you first power up the car. Alrighty, I'm going to turn this off briefly, disconnect our negative terminal again, maybe. That thing's on there pretty tight. Okay, we'll let it sit here for, I don't know, 10 seconds or so. And then I'll reconnect this, fire the power supply back up, and then I'll very quickly hop in the car, try to activate the drive rails and get the gateway unlocked. So you always kind of have to be quick about it when you first power up the car. Gets me every time. All right, we'll reconnect. Fire that back up. Oh, come on. Hop in the car. And then while it's booting up, I'm just going to keep my foot on the brake. So as soon as the drive rails get activated, I'll feel the brake booster kick in and the brake pedal will go down. And then I'll know that I can activate the right turn signal to get it into the gateway unlocked setup. So yeah, I'm just going to periodically just kind of keep letting off the brake and then pushing on it. And then once it's at a point where it's going to start, which probably is any second now, perhaps. Come on. Oh, battery fuse replacement needed. That's interesting. I wonder if I'm going to have to swap the fuse over from my old battery. This one may or may not have had its fuse replaced. I'll have to probably pull it out and check it. Come on. Why is it not? All right. Oh, we actually can do it through here. So let's see, after high voltage battery replacement, software reinstall. So we'll do that. Okay. That's a benefit of MCU2 is you get all these extra features you can do in service mode. MCU1, you definitely have to have Toolbox 3 to do this, but it's pretty handy to have MCU2 just because it makes this stuff so much easier. So yeah, I'll let it continue to do its software update here. And yeah, my screen looks pretty grimy looking at it on camera here. But yeah, I'll let it continue to do its software update. It'll probably take 5 or 10 minutes, something like that. And then once that's done, then I'll do step 2, which is the HV pack replacement routine. And then we should be good to go. Just another little fun thing that I just noticed is that I've got this little notification saying chill right above Model S 70D. With the original 70 pack, you wouldn't get a chill mode as far as driving modes go. So that's a little new thing that it might already be kind of recognizing from the pack. Very cool. All right, just continue letting this go, and should be up to date here probably any minute now, hopefully. All right, I just tried another reboot. The brake pedal did go down further, and I have the right turn signal activated, but the screen still haven't booted up yet. So we'll see if it actually unlocks the gateway when the screens boot up here, which hopefully they should here in just a second. It always takes a moment. There we go. That one's coming alive. That one's alive. There we go. Right turn signal is on. It shows car off at the moment, but... Oh, yep, it did unlock the gateway. Okay, mission success. So now we can go back to our pack replacement routine. Oops, not BMS, we want battery replacement, and now we can run step 2. In progress, clearing SOC1 snapshot, clearing latched bits, BMS backup, hardware ID. We're probably going to see 100D here on the screen any moment now. Serial number, pyro fuse. Yeah, it's reading all the data. Energy counter, CAC data, and then it's backing everything up. Cool stuff. Any minute now, hopefully we'll see the screen update. At least I think it should update here through this routine. We may or may not have to go in and change the configuration in Toolbox to make it show the correct thing, but I think it'll do it automatically here. Routine failed. Okay. Why did it fail? And all the screens just turned off. Okay. It didn't give me a well, it may have given me a reason for failure, but I didn't get to see it very quickly there. So we'll try and see if we can get this thing to boot back up. All right, I just tried another reboot. The brake pedal did go down further, and I have the right turn signal activated, but the screens still haven't booted up yet. So we'll see if it actually unlocks the gateway when the screens boot up here, which hopefully they should here in just a second. It always takes a moment. There we go. That one's coming alive. That one's alive. There we go. Right turn signal is on. It shows car off at the moment, but... Oh, yep, it did unlock the gateway. Okay, mission success. So now we can go back to our pack replacement routine. Oops, not BMS, we want battery replacement, and now we can run step 2. In progress, clearing SOC1 snapshot, clearing latched bits, BMS backup, hardware ID. We're probably going to see 100D here on the screen any moment now. Serial number, pyro fuse. Yeah, it's reading all the data. Energy counter, CAC data, and then it's backing everything up. Cool stuff. Any minute now, hopefully we'll see the screen update. At least I think it should update here through this routine. We may or may not have to go in and change the configuration in Toolbox to make it show the correct thing, but I think it'll do it automatically here. Routine failed. Okay. Why did it fail? And all the screens just turned off. Okay. It didn't give me a well, it may have given me a reason for failure, but I didn't get to see it very quickly there. So we'll try and see if we can get this thing to boot back up. All right, car is booting back up. It actually does show 100D on the screen now, but we do have a bunch of other alerts, software update required, etc., but it did indeed update the configuration on the screen there. So let's see what alerts we have. Service alerts. Not okay to pre-charge. Replace contactors disabled. Interesting. Fun stuff. Let's go to battery. All right, we're gonna have to connect with Toolbox here, I think. Can we unlock the gateway? We can. Okay, so we'll unlock the gateway. Probably run a contactor re-enabling routine. Let's see, we want to go back to alerts. What did we have? I guess we can look at all. BMS version mismatch. Oh, okay, so we are still having a version mismatch. No drive allowed. Okay, so let's go back. Oops. And let's try and run another software reinstall and see if that fixes our problem. We did at least get the right configuration on here. So I think maybe we just need to try and do the software reinstall again. I also didn't double check to make sure my rapid mates were fully seated, so maybe we'll go ahead and do that first real quick before we actually run this routine. All right, I did double check both rapid mates and they both seem to be good, so we'll go ahead and run the software reinstall again, and we'll come back to this when it's finished updating, and hopefully we'll be all good. All right, so I think I made a mistake. I did not make sure that the first responder loop was disconnected. I actually had it connected, which may have been the reason why we failed on our first run there. So let's go ahead and run this again, and hopefully it'll actually work this time. I mean, it did at least get the configuration updated, but let's see if it actually works the way that it should. Alrighty, I think we've got a mission success. I'm gonna go ahead and put my foot on the brake pedal here and let's see if we get a start. Oh. Okay, so we do have some alerts. We've got drive inverter config mismatch, system limp mode, condenser no feedback. Okay, but it does go into drive, so that's a plus. So it's a bit of a convoluted process of how I actually got to this point, but essentially what I ended up finding out is that the pack replacement routine failed because it couldn't do the BMS backup, and also it was failing the SOC snapshot clearing. I don't think the SOC snapshot clearing is super critical, but the BMS backup is critical, and I ended up going through and clearing all of the contactor stress index things, so positive and negative welded contactors, the stress index, wide open throttle index, all that stuff. And then I was able to get the BMS backup to complete successfully. So then I did the pack replacement routine, and then I just ran another software update, and that seems like it finally updated the pack config and everything properly. So the car's running now, but it looks like now I have a drive inverter config mismatch for some strange reason. So I might have to run the update again, which is odd because it shouldn't have affected this. But it looks like we're actually functional. So I'm going to go ahead and run the update one more time. But yeah, you can see we can go into gear and everything. So that's cool. But yeah, I'm going to try and run the routine one more time and see if we can get that drive inverter configuration mismatch to go away. I don't know why that happened. So yeah, if it doesn't work this time, I might let the car sit overnight. Sometimes the config stuff doesn't really quite work 100% when you try and just do a CAN redeploy, but if you let the car sit overnight connected to Wi-Fi, with it supported, sometimes it'll just automatically realize that it needs to update the config, and then for whatever reason that method seems to work better when they have these issues. So anyway, yeah, if this next update doesn't work, then we'll just let it sit overnight and come back to it in the morning. You can see it's getting pretty late here, so yeah, we'll give it one more shot at the update here, and we'll see if that fixes our drive inverter mismatch now. All right, see you guys in a bit. Alrighty, so I got the bottom side of the car buttoned up and I completed this software update, but it is still throwing the turtle mode and whatever for, well, it's not going to show it if it's not in service mode, but it still has that configuration mismatch for the rear drive inverter for some strange reason. I don't understand why it's doing that, because the inverter hasn't changed. But we're going to go ahead and pull the car out here, just take it for a little spin around the block, and then I'll just let the car sit overnight, and hopefully it determines on its own that it needs to update the configuration, and then in theory it should all work. Sometimes I just do weird stuff like this with software updates when swapping components, so fingers crossed on that one. But yeah, let's go ahead and get it out of the shop here. And yeah, I'll see you guys when we're getting out on the street. Alrighty, getting out onto the street here, and it's very severely power limited. I can already tell, like, that right there is full throttle. It slowly ramps in the power, but it's definitely very limited power mode right now for sure. But we are at least driving, so that's half the battle. I kind of wonder if maybe the rapid mate connector for the low voltage side might not be fully seated, but I checked that. I mean, I wiggled it, I pushed down on it. I didn't put the borescope in there to look at it, but I'm fairly certain that it's fully seated, but this is giving me kind of some second guessing. So anyway, we'll just bring it in back to the shop, and hopefully if it sits overnight, it'll determine that it needs a software update, and hopefully that'll fix this problem. Like I said, sometimes weird stuff like this just happens with component replacements, and it'll figure it out on its own eventually. But if not, we might have to do some more investigation. So anyway, we'll see you guys in the morning. Alrighty folks, it's the next morning here. I let the car sit overnight and it didn't automatically try to download an update, but I realized what the actual problem was. So the problem wasn't that it was unhappy with the firmware on the drive inverter, but it was unhappy with the config. And I got a little bit hung up and messed up with that. So I think that this is a universal pack, so it can be used either for a base or a performance configuration, which is pretty typical. And what I ended up needing to do is I ended up having to come in here to the infotainment dashboard and change our vehicle configuration for performance. So if I go to, where is performance? There it is, performance. So right here, performance, and we had to set it to P1, which is for a non-performance configuration. So either all-wheel drive with the small drive unit in the rear, or a rear-wheel drive with a base large drive unit. And so I did that, and then I redid the firmware redeploy software update, and now we are all good on the car. So no issues as far as usability or anything. And if we exit service mode here, you can see we are perfectly fine. We've got no alerts other than just windshield washer fluid low. And yeah, so I think we're ready to take this thing for an actual drive and see how much more power we've got. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and take this for a little test drive. I've got my dad in the passenger seat here. He's helping me out at the shop here for the next couple days, but we'll go ahead and get pulled out of the shop here, and we'll go ahead and get out onto the main road and see how much more power we've got in this thing. Alrighty, we're getting out onto the main airport road here, and we'll get around the corner here and then we'll punch it. Heck yeah. Definitely way more power than it had before, for sure. So we'll just cruise on back to the shop here. And yeah, once we get back, I'll probably just continue driving this car around. I want to discharge it down to about 10%. And at some point I want to do a comparison, sort of 10% challenge style road tripping comparison between this pack and the old pack. I've already filmed the whole whatever road trip portion with the old pack, Not sure if that's going to be in this video or if that'll be a separate video, but yeah, we'll get the comparison from the old pack to this pack as far as road trip ability goes for charging speed and stuff. I've got high hopes for this one. I'm hoping to go at least close to, I'm hoping for close to double the distance for this pack compared to the old one, but we'll see. Alrighty folks, well that's going to be a wrap for this one. We successfully got the 100 kilowatt hour pack swapped into my 2017 Model S 70D, which of course is now no longer a 70D. So yeah, this is an upgrade that I've been seriously thinking about doing for quite a while, and I'm pretty excited about it. There are still a couple of other things that I might want to think about doing on this. My car is on coil suspension, so I might need to think about upgrading the coils, both front and rear, to compensate for the extra weight. The 100 kilowatt hour pack isn't that much heavier than the old pack, but it's enough of a difference that I might want to consider changing that. But ride height wise, it looks about the same as it was before. I mean, it might be sitting just ever so slightly lower, but I might still upgrade to the heavier springs. And yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. I will be doing a video here soon with a before and after comparison between the old pack and the new pack as far as sort of a road trip simulation, sort of a 10% challenge style test. So I've already filmed that with the old pack, and when I get a chance here over the following days, I'll go ahead and do the same thing with the new pack here. So make sure to stay tuned for that video, hopefully sometime in the near future. And yeah, I'm hoping for a big increase in usability for this pack as far as that goes. I'm hoping to go double the distance for the same test, essentially, the same 15-minute charge session. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. And as always, thanks for watching.